Hey guys, it's a Sunday night. Probably you are still enjoying your lovely weekend. I'm going to share with you some useful tool. Hope that can help in your day-to-day Laravel development. If you're not familiar with a tool called Laravel Telescope, feel free to spend the next few minutes with me and look into how it can help us in the day-to-day development. So this is a debug tool or assistance so that we can use it to track the incoming requests, SQL queries, stuff like that. Mostly I use it in my project to investigate the SQL queries so that I can see how to improve or optimize the data operation part. So the installation is part of the Laravel official documentation. We can follow and get it installed in the dev environment. So let's start. Typically, this is something that we want to deploy or install locally. So we follow these steps. I have already done it, but anyway, let me do it again. So composer require this Laravel telescope with --dev so that it will only be used in dev. And then run the command telescope install, so PHP artisan telescope install, and run artisan migrate. As I just mentioned, I have already run it, so the migration has been deployed in my database, so nothing to migrate. You should see something at your end if you run it. Okay, the next thing is that you need to follow these note here. So firstly, remove the telescope service provider from app.php configuration. So that's the one. Because the publish step will introduce this provider in the configuration, so we need to remove it. As of why, so you need to search a bit and see why. I just follow the documentation. And next step is to add or register the provider service provider in app service provider class. So let's go to app service provider. And register the telescope service provider for local environment. Normally, we don't want to get it installed and run in production environment, as it will eat some resource and cause some performance issue. We don't want to have it in production. Okay, once it's installed, we still need to go to composer.json and include the telescope package to the don't discover section. So let's go to composer. It's here. Laravel don't discover Laravel telescope. That's it. And the rest of the introduction or the documentation talks about the other configurations. For example, how to disable from the environment variable and data pruning authorization. So feel free to follow this documentation if you'd like to learn more. So for me, this is what the basic installation and the configuration required to make it work in the local dev environment. And this is the short URL service page I developed in previous video. If you are interested and like to learn more about this demo application, feel free to check out the video or playlist displayed on the top right corner. Click the information card, you will see those videos. Okay, now let's see how we can access the telescope tool. So it's part of the Laravel application. So I have already run the dev server here. Now we are able to use the root telescope. So you can see here, this is the dashboard of the telescope. Loads of information or tools that you can use. So for me, I like to see the queries in every request. For example, you can see here, these queries happened a minute ago. Now let me try to create a new short URL. Now it's created. Let's see what happened behind the screen. So now we come back to the telescope dashboard. In the query section, actually I click this button or highlight this option to allow it auto reload. It will automatically refresh and show us the latest queries. So a second ago, there were 5 queries. So I think this one is to query the user so that it can create a short URL. Because there's a foreign key on user ID, so this is why there's a query to fetch the user by ID and create a new entry in short URLs and the short URL views table respectively. And next step is, you can see here, there's still another query from user table. I think this is for the menu or the nav bar on top of the page. So this is where we fetch the user account information. Even it's not displayed or the username is not displayed, it's still fetched. Then we display all the short URLs as a table here. This is the data of the table is from the query, the latest is query. So that's behind the scene. There were 5 queries every time when we create a new short URL. And if we try to generate the QR code, you can see if I click the QR code button for the latest short URL, now let's come back to the page. You can also see here, there are 4 queries involved. Select the user, select a short URL. This is to address a short URL, and based on the short URL, so from this query we will get the long URL, so that URL will be encoded into that QR code. And the other 2 queries also for the page, the short URL homepage, as the QR code generation request got redirected back to the homepage. So if you're looking to the get QR code implementation here, because the request is redirected back to the index or homepage, so that's why we always see these 2 queries in every request. Okay, if you are interested in other features, you can see here, these are the logs generated or in the application, so it's also tracked here. Now I think that's it for it today. So feel free to install this very useful debug tool in your dev environment so that it can help you to look into the details or what's happening behind the scene and try to optimize your application based on all these information. Okay, I think that's it for today. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Oh, I just forgot. If you feel it's useful, remember to subscribe to the channel and thumbs up, ring the bell. Thanks. See you next time. Bye bye.